Hi, I'm Femke. I'm an artist and content creator, and today I'm going to show you every single page in my sketchbook that I worked on for the past year. I always love to watch these videos to get a bit of inspiration for what to draw, and just because it's fun to see how other artists treat their sketchbooks. Last year I also did a sketchbook tour, and a big topic for me was perfectionism, and it's still quite relevant for me. However, I did really make an effort to be a little bit more loose in my sketchbook, and you'll see that in a second when I go through all of the pages. So yeah, this is my sketchbook. It's from Moleskine. It has 165 GSM, and I painted on the cover with acrylic markers. So normally it just comes in black. And then I also got this little charm from Moleskine as well. So this year it ended up being quite a thick sketchbook because I put in a lot of paper and I did a bit more journaling, so that really makes it kind of expand. And then on the back I put some of my own stickers from my sticker sheets. So let's open it up. I started this sketchbook in 2025 around May. I took it with me on a trip to France. So my first page is me on the train with a friend on the way to France. So that was really nice, and I drew this on the train with colored pencil. And then something completely different. I just saw the Spider-Man movie and I loved it so much. I think it was called Into the Spider-Verse. So I decided to make a spread dedicated to this, and I used acrylic markers and I drew this on a blue piece of paper. And this is Spider-Punk, in case you guys have seen that movie as well. Here I did a challenge where I wanted to make an entire spread with blue things. So every video you guys could suggest what I should draw next. I ended up drawing quite a lot of things, but it's a little bit of a chaotic page. Probably the avatar is my favorite from this spread. I really like drawing with post-its. I think it always makes your drawing more interesting, and here I wanted to try something new where inside the post-it I drew with a different color than outside. So in here I drew with red, but I think the contrast is a little bit too... So I think it would have worked better if I would have done it the other way around, with blue inside the post-it and red outside. But I still quite like this side. I definitely want to try doing a spread like this again. Here is an unfinished spread. I drew Victoria, a girl I follow on social media, and she's always really cute and she has an amazing fashion style. So I wanted to draw her in my sketchbook, but I never ended up finishing this spread. But I really like the rhinestones around her face and the red hair. Here is an acrylic marker spread, but I really like the way this spread looks. I like the combination of green and pink, and yeah, it's just really fun to work with acrylic markers on top of colored paper. This was just a really fun sketch to do. Nothing too complicated, but it looks really dynamic and fun. Drawing skin with acrylic markers was definitely a challenge because the colors are quite hard to blend, but I think it ended up quite okay. Here is a really random spread from when I went on a little weekend trip with Canon, and we got to test out some of their printers. So I just printed out a bunch of photos and made a little sketch around it. And then it's just something random that I had laying around that I drew, and I thought it would fit with this other random page. So moving on from that. Here's another page that I wasn't super happy with, but like I said, I'm trying to let go of everything having to be perfect. So I do have really good memories about this because this was a journal spread about a day in Amsterdam with my friend. So I got like a bunch of different cards from that day, and we did a paint and sip, which was really fun, but I wasn't very pleased with this spread, like I said, so I drew on the other side with alcohol markers, and you can see that I bled through the page. I really love the colors in this page. It's a little bit chaotic, but I think it's pretty fun. I just released my sticker sheets, so I used like a few of my stickers here. And I really like the perspective of this drawing. So yeah, a lot of mixed media on here. This is alcohol markers with colored pencil. This is acrylic markers. This is ballpoint pen. That's also maybe why it looks a little bit chaotic. Here's one of my favorite spreads of my sketchbook. I really like the composition here. The color scheme is really my favorite thing. I drew this on a piece of blue paper and then I cut it out into a star shape. So I really like that effect. And I did both of these with alcohol markers. Next up, I used some colored paper again to cover up the bleed from the other side. I drew this cutout circle with a friend at a cafe. I drew the kiwi side and she drew this star, I think it's called a star fruit or something. So it's really fun to kind of flip this back and forth. And then to fill up the background, I drew this little fruit basket, like shopping basket, with a bunch of my favorite things at the time, and then a bunch of my stickers. And then on this side, I drew more fruits. This blueberry also made it onto my sticker sheets. I think the dragon fruit looks good too, so maybe I'll make a sticker out of that as well one day. Here I use like different colors paper, so it became like even more bulky, but I do like the way it looks. Next is one of my favorite portraits in this sketchbook as well. I drew Jasmine Lay and I really love how her hair color looks, and again I really like this perspective from the top. And then on the other side I have a little collage of animals. I drew this frog at a cafe with a friend. We did a challenge. We were only allowed to use 2 colors and I got blue and red. So that's how that turned out. I think this is a really fun spread, but the 2 sides don't go together that well, but that's okay. Here I drew on the train. I wanted to try and design some products for Gustav Westman. I really love his brand and he's famous for those chunky cups and plates. And as I have a background in industrial design, I wanted to draw some ideas for his collection. Of course, he never saw it, but it was just fun to do. And I drew this while I was on the train with acrylic markers. Here I wanted to get back to portraits a little bit, and I really like this color of her hair, how it goes from blue to green. And then I stuck a piece of orange paper on the other side to make a monochrome portrait with alcohol marker. And I just always love how orange combines with blue because they're complementary colors. I really like the way this looks together. Here's another journal spread of a day when I went to Amsterdam. I went to visit the Van Gogh Museum. This was a solo date and I also vlogged this day, so you can see that on my channel. But I really like how this gives off such an autumn vibe. You can really tell it was autumn time with this cute piece of paper and these stickers. And yeah, it's just so fun to have that as a memory in here with the pictures. One last journal spread from the summer vacation that you already saw at the beginning of the sketchbook. I had even more receipts and pictures that I wanted to include, so I made a few more sketches. And I also really like the summer vibes in here with this picture with the rocks we painted on at the beach. Then here I drew on colored paper again, and I wanted to do some fishies and then this chicken on the blue piece of paper. And I think this spread looks really nice. I like how they are looking at each other, and I really love the color combination and how detailed the fish are. And I drew everything with acrylic marker. I always try to overlap with the background to the page to make it look a little bit more interesting. Then I made this spread with cats. Some of these I drew on the train when I was going to Paris with my friend, so that's also a fun memory. And I made a bunch of stickers from these. And yeah, this is just a really fun spread to look at. I think I could even make a whole sticker sheet with only cats. I think that would be really nice. Here I went to a cafe with a friend and we sketched with post-its. However, I don't really like the way it turned out. I think it looks too much like cartoony. It's still cute, but not really my style. And then here I followed a workshop of my friend Merlijn, and she explained how to draw a disco ball in 1 hour, and it was really fun to do. This spread is a little bit random, but it has some nice memories. And here I made a journal spread of our trip to Paris. This is like such a nice spread. It makes me so happy to look at it and remember our breakfast there, and we went to this analog photo booth, so of course I had to put that in my sketchbook, and my pigeon sticker just fits perfectly with Paris. We stood in line for this cafe and it was like super popular, but yeah, you basically just paid for it looking aesthetic. But still, it was like a really fun day. And I saved one of the tissues from that cafe so I could stick it in here. And here we were sketching in Paris by the river. I drew this while we were sitting there. That was just really dreamy and wonderful. We went to the museum that day, so I put that ticket on here and another picture, and I drew some macarons. Also really fun memory. Here I drew Zara Larsson, of course. I think it doesn't look like her as much as I wanted, but the makeup really inspired me to draw, and I really loved the whole aesthetic with the dolphins and the flowers. And then I also drew Julia. She's Dutch, and I thought it was just so fun to draw them together. And then here I had to cover up the bled through side of Zara Larsson portrait because I used alcohol markers for this. So I stuck a dark red piece of paper on there and I drew this portrait on it. I really love how the highlights look so bright on like a dark background. And then on this side I made a little stipple high contrast portrait. This is Charlie XCX. And then I also drew some swans. I love drawing swans lately, and I love these colors together, the dark red and the light blue. Here suddenly it's winter. I drew this portrait. I really like how fluffy the coat looks, and here I wanted to draw this DIY what's in my bag page that I came up with. So I think they go together super well. I love the mountains in the background, and I love blue, so automatically this is a spread that I like. And then in here I drew my mini sketchbook, my favorite lip gloss, and like a few items. So I think this is such a fun little creative way to make your sketchbook more interesting. And then I drew the same thing on the other side because it bled through, but this time with acrylic markers so it doesn't bleed. And this time I drew like a tiny version of this sketchbook in there, and like my favorite lip balm and some keychains. Very cute. And another drawing on a post-it, a Pegasus. I guess I just really like to draw wings. I wish it would have been centered. Here's another little journal spread of me visiting my friend and this card that I drew for a cafe in Utrecht where I live. I didn't use this, so I thought, why not just stick it next to this? I think it goes together quite well. And used some of my stickers. This matcha is one of my favorite stickers. So this is just a really fun memory of going to see my friend. Then I have a fish study. I drew a bunch of fish on one page, and I can never get enough of drawing fish. It's always so fun and colorful. and you can't really go wrong because every fish looks different. So this was a really fun one to do. Here is a combination of post-its and stippling. This is also one of my favorite spreads in here. I think the composition is really nice. I like how I use these small post-its together and a bunch of different colors. I think stippling always gives a really nice effect, even though it's like really annoying to do. Yeah, this was a really fun one. I drew this immediately after seeing the Avatar movie in the cinema, and I loved the colors, just the visuals of the entire movie, so I wanted to draw the villain. And I know that her skin is meant to be more ashy, but I just really like the way blue and red looks together, so this is how I ended up drawing it. I do like how it covers like a bit of the second page as well, and I did this with alcohol markers. So here you can see how it bleeds through the page. And here I decided to try and not be so perfectionist. So I just gave myself like 5 minutes per sketch and I tried to warm up a bit. So yeah, this is definitely not perfect, but I think it's really good to also give yourself room to practice, do some speed sketching, and then over time I'll get better at this as well. Here I drew a bunch of colorful eyes. This is such a fun page. I just love working with color, and here I was just kind of studying what colors go well together. For example, here I used blue, pink and purple, but here I only used orange and yellow. So I really enjoyed doing that. And then this is the drawing I made for a tutorial on YouTube. Here's another one of those pages where I was just kind of warming up, practicing, and then I did another monochrome sketch on this side using alcohol marker. I really liked the way I did cutout pages before, so I made another version of the circle, but then with sushi and ramen. And on this side I drew like some things that I associate with that, like soju, an egg, soy sauce, and then randomly this sunny angel. But I never finished the other side. And then I also made another cutout page. This butterfly, I made this together with my friend Merlijn. We both colored in one side, so I made this side and she made this side, and it's just really fun to look back and see the difference between your styles. And then we did the same in her sketchbook, so we both have like a butterfly in our sketchbook. That was really fun to do. I see this a lot on Pinterest now, like my exact drawing, and I really don't like when people take my art and post it on Pinterest without any credit. I would really appreciate it if you don't post my art or give me credit. And then on the back I just put these pieces of paper with a cute pattern on it. Here I made a ladybug, and my phone case collection just went live, so you guys already know that I drew this for my phone case. I really like having like dots on my phone case, and I think ladybugs are so cute, so I wanted to combine them. And I really love the design because, like I said before, I love orange and blue together, and I love the polka dots. So I'm really happy with the way this drawing turned out and the way the phone case turned out. And then I wanted to do another portrait on this side. I also really like how purple goes with blue, so I'm quite happy about this spread. I did the ladybug with acrylic markers and this side with alcohol markers. So here is another journal spread from my trip to Paris. I realized I had so many little scraps left from that trip, so I decided to just put it all on one page. The Sunny Angel packaging, this cute card, and some pictures, and a hot chocolate. I also drew these lilies for the phone case designs, and I ended up putting this one onto the phone case. But maybe in the future I'll also release the design with this lily on it. Flowers are always so beautiful and pretty and fun to draw. I used acrylic markers for this. Here I have a little fun spread as well. I made this flip phone DIY. I really like how this looks in this 2000s style with a bunch of diamonds and pink and keychains on it. On this side I made a journal spread from when I was sketching with my friend Pip at a cafe. So we made these little camera cutouts. So that's a really fun memory as well. To cover up the alcohol marker from this side, I put another piece of paper here and I drew this testing out my new acrylic markers from Ohuhu. So I drew this swan, and I really like drawing swans, so I love how this spread turned out. And then here I made a little collage of some things I like to draw, so fish and flowers and fruits, to kind of finish this spread. Again, I used a piece of blue paper. I also used acrylic markers for that. This spread I drew when I went to the Van Gogh Museum with my friend Merlijn. We were at the museum and we drew some of our favorite paintings there, and then I also got a little card to stick on the other side. I really love the cherry blossoms. Of course, my little sketch doesn't do it justice, but it was really fun to do. Here, of course, I had to draw the iconic Elisa Liu. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong, but she really inspired me with her ice skating and her performance and just her whole entire attitude. So when I saw this picture, I think it was for Vogue, I really wanted to draw it, and I really didn't know what else to put next to it, so I just kind of kept it like this. But I do like the way it turned out with the blue shadows. Here I had a collaboration with Ninja, so they gave me their coffee machine and I made a King's Day cappuccino with it. So I made a drawing of that cappuccino, and then I made a cutout camera here. I did that at a cafe, so I also drew the drink I had at the cafe and pistachio croissant with acrylic markers. And this side I drew with colored pencil. Here's another spread with stippling, and I wanted to do stippling in color. So I made these cherries and this deer, and I really liked the way this turned out. And here I drew some of my favorite sketching supplies next to a self-portrait, but I wasn't really happy with the way it was going, so I never finished it. Here I drew a bunch of fish again, this time a little bit more simple because I was preparing for a workshop that I'm giving. The workshop is only 45 minutes, so I want to make sure that everyone can follow along and I'm not making it too complicated. But yeah, these are definitely really fun to do, and I think this one is my favorite. And then here is a sketch of the drawing I did here as well. I actually drew this one first, and then I had this page empty, so I decided to redo it and make a better version, and then I just stuck it in here. This version I drew on the train, and I also really like it, to be honest. It's just a bit of a different style without the blue paper under it. And that's already my entire sketchbook. The back page I always use to like test my markers on. I hope you liked watching my sketchbook tour. I'm going to start a new sketchbook soon, and I'll show you guys some about that as well, because I've picked a new color for the first time. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments, and thank you so much for watching.